This has to be one of the most enjoyable trips I've ever done filming public transport. This is a comparison of the trams and trains in Tunisia. Now over in Tunisia, things are different, but different doesn't necessarily mean wrong. Now, just for perspective, I'm saying this from my home in England where the railways are overprotectively safe. The BTP are very strict. But the thing is, in England, railways didn't always used to be so overprotectively safe like they are today. For example, I can just about remember the days of the slam door. And on slam door trains, people used to open up the doors while the train was still going 30 miles an hour as it was pulling into the station. And people would jump out the trains at high speed, and there'd be announcements on the platform, stand back behind the yellow line, and someone might open the door and jump out the train as the train is approaching. The thing is, over in Tunisia, things are like how England used to be 20 years ago. People are expected to take on their own responsibility for their safety. But with that comes a level of freedom you could never even dream of in England. And you know what? I actually really like that. One thing in Tunisia is the closing of the doors on public transport is optional. If the passengers choose to, they can keep the doors open, and people can even get on and off the tram while the tram is moving and get on and off the tram on the wrong side. So then, let's start off this video of taking a comparison of the public transport in Tunis. In Tunis, there are trams, the TGM suburban trains, the Mainline suburban trains, and the Mainline trains. Let's start a video off with the TGM suburban line. The TGM suburban line goes between Tunis harbour and the suburbs, and it's got some very interesting old trains with DC motors. Let's ride it. on this train, as the closing of the doors is optional, let's ride the train if the doors open. This is something that happens regularly, as on many occasions I saw the locals keeping the doors open while riding a train. So then, now we go to the trams. And the tram system is very extensive here. And there are two types of tram. Let's start off with the older, interesting trams. As the closing of the doors is optional on these trams, let's ride the tram with the doors open.
Missing windows, missing window, missing window. So many windows get smashed on this tram system. Another missing window. There's so many smashed windows on the trams, suburban trains and mainline trains here. It's so ridiculous. Oh, another smashed window.
Also, as well as the closing of the doors being optional, it seems that the opening of the doors is also optional, as some of the doors on the tram don't work, and when this happens, people have to climb through the window to get inside of the tram. And it's now night time. Now let's take a look at the other type of tram, which are the newer citydis trams. And to be honest, when I've travelled to an interesting faraway place, I don't really want to see citydis trams because they're just an ordinary off-the-shelf tram. So let's just take a quick ride on one. So then, that's the trams complete. Let's now take a look at the trains. Then let's now take a look at the Tunisia Mainline railways. Let's go along to Tunis Central Station. Let's first take a look at a mainline intercity trains, but sadly these trains were not working properly when I was here. In fact, the trains from Tunis to where I was staying in Hammam were not working. No one really could tell me why they weren't working, and everyone told me I had to take a taxi, even though I later found that there were buses available. But everyone assumed as I was a Westerner I wouldn't want to take local transport and I'd want to take a taxi instead. And that's because Westerners seem to never take the public transport in Tunis, and that is a real shame because the public transport is so interesting here. In fact, when I was filming the public transport, lots of people came up to me and were very interested about why I was taking the public transport rather than a taxi. So then, sadly I was not able to get on a mainline train here, but let's take a look at one. Also, notice that even on the mainline trains, the closing of the doors is optional. And here's a mainline train being shunted about at Tunis Central Station. Also, on the main line, there was a lot of trains with smashed windscreens.
Look at that window. Fuck.
And now let's take a look at the Tunis mainline suburban trains. These are some very interesting Hyundai Rotem trains. These have got a nice sounding VF drive. Let's ride it. And now let's take a look at a little branch line to Hammam. Now the times of the trains on this branch line on Google Maps were completely different to the actual timetable. In fact, there's only 4 trains a day in each direction on this branch line. But sadly I wasn't able to ride on these trains as the trains were not running when I was here, and no one really knew why the trains weren't running. It's very disappointing as I really wanted to go on this branch line, and to get to where I was going I actually had to walk the tracks. So I'm not actually sure why the trains were not running. It's either because people keep smashing the windscreens of the trains and the trains couldn't run, or it could be that people keep vandalising the trains because there was a lot of abandoned, trashed and sometimes burnt out trains about. And I know I go to a load of abandoned trains. And these trains are just left here, completely abandoned and in extremely bad condition. Let's take a look at them. And this train still has somewhat of an interior. And some of the trains have been set on fire.
Wow, it's trashed.
Good idea,